don't think there's enough room.
There's enough.
Are you serious?
So I can sit on my ass.
I have to go to the bathroom.
Thank you, Linda. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Unitarian Universalist Congregation of the Swananoa Valley. Happy Mother's Day. We're happy to have everybody here. My name is Peter Hound. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees. Here at UUSV, we strive as a congregation to be brave, curious, and compassionate thinkers and doers. We're diverse in faith, ethnicity, history, and spirituality, but aligned in our desire to make a difference for the good. We have a track record of standing on the side of love, justice, and peace. So let's take advantage of this time we spend together today in this place to help us focus on making the world a better place around us as we venture out on this Sunday and every day. If you're new to Unitarian Universalism, you might take note of our mission statement, which is printed on the front of the order of service. We also work together to promote and practice our 8 principles, which are printed on the back of the order of service. Please note that UUCSB acknowledges with deep respect that the land we are on today is the ancestral home of the Cherokee and of other indigenous people. The Cherokee, through stewardship, understanding, and conservation, survived and thrive in this land. We recognize and should never forget their enduring connection to their homeland and in this place. Now it's our tradition to welcome first and second time visitors, or those of you who haven't been with us for a while, to stand if you're comfortable doing that and introduce yourselves and where you're from. You can start over here. Any visitors? First, second time, or coming back to visit us? Yay! Do you want to introduce yourselves?
Yeah, I'm Aaron Adams, and this is my girlfriend Carrie. And
Welcome.
we're from California, and we're Allison Hines Adams in-laws.
Fantastic.
And we're here for a visit. Yeah.
She's going to be treating us to some wonderful music this morning. Anybody else on this side? Okay, this side? Yes.
I'm Marcus Stobbs, Betsy's son, and I live in Boulder, Colorado.
Nice. Welcome. Anyone else? Please.
I'm Lynn Henderson, and this is my husband Bruce. We are visiting from the Lake Norman UU congregation in Davidson.
Great. Yes?
I'm Kathy, I'm from Worthington, and I'm back to North Carolina for the summer.
Fantastic. Sure, yeah, back there.
I'm Peggy Bradley from Naples, Florida, and I'm back off and on all summer.
Great, welcome. We look forward to seeing you off and on all summer.
Hi, I'm Kay Holtzinger. This is my second time here, and I live in Black Mountain, and I'm part of the Allison Times fan club.
Hey, we got to have you more often. Anybody else from this side? Yes.
My name is Kathy DiStefano, and I'm from Central Maryland, and I am Carol's friend.
Oh, welcome. Thank you for bringing her, Carol. We welcome you, your whole selves, with all your triumphs, your truths and your doubts, your worries and your hopes. We welcome you. If you want to learn more about us, or you would like to receive our newsletter, or find out how you can be more involved in this community, there's a white card in the back of the pew in front of you for you to fill out and either place in the collection plate or leave on the table in the foyer so that we may get in touch with you in whatever way you want us to. UUSV.org has more good information as well. A couple of announcements. If you want to put an announcement in the bulletin, that has to be into the office by Tuesday, is that right? Tuesday afternoon. The newsletter is called The Current, and you can see the website to visit, or see the website to see the latest edition of that. A couple of announcements. Bounty and Soul sent us a nice card thanking us for our donation that came out of our auction proceeds. Bounty and Soul, if you're not familiar with it, I can't believe anybody wouldn't be, but it's a fantastic organization, and we are really backing a good organization by making that donation. Jim is looking for people to help mow the church property. If you can stop by the portico table, there's a card table back there, to sign up to do that, and that would help everybody out. He'll be back there after the service. Next week, I want to make everyone aware that there's a congregational meeting. It's very important that we have a quorum to review the wording of our bylaws that have been changed. A couple of things have been changed, a couple of things we've talked about before in congregational meetings. This is kind of the culmination of all those conversations, and we need you here to help us talk about those, talk through them, and get them voted on so we can make those changes when we need to. Canvas Drive is still on. It's coming to a close. We need all the help we can get. This is where we are in the Canvas Drive. Ann Hadley will be in the back to give you a canvas. He's in the front now, but he'll be in the back later to give you a form so you can state your intention on giving for the coming year. We would appreciate everyone's participation in that. Let's see. And I think that's it for the child. Let our service begin.
You're going to practice that, aren't you?
I thought about putting it up here so I didn't have to fool with it. Next time.
Thank you, Chief. Happy Mother's Day to you mothers out there. Ba-dum-boom. Anyway, opening words are from Marta Valentin. And she reminds us that we pause this morning, from the chaos of the world to reclaim the beauty that we find inside these walls and that carries us through the week. We lift this community onto our shoulders with pride, grace-filled expectations for our children and our children's children. So, thank you, Diane. And we have a treat this morning for this Mother's Day. Susan.
Good morning. Good morning. I'd like to invite the young and the young at heart to join me up front if you're so inclined for our story this morning. Thank you, Dad. Look at all these fabulous young faces. I'm so excited. Closer if you want to. So this morning's story, some of you may have seen before, but I think it's fantastic. It's called Earth Mother, and it's by Ellen Jackson, with illustrations by Leo and Diane Dillon. And the pictures are really beautiful, so I'll leave it out at coffee hour so that those of you who are sitting in the back can look at the pictures later. Earth Mother awoke with the dawn. She fanned the sacred smoke in each of the 4 directions. Then she walked across the land singing a morning song. Earth Mother gave the beetles their shiny jackets. She hung green acorns on the oaks. Bending low, she placed a piece of summer in a flower seed. She turned her gaze to the sage-covered deserts and blew across the mesas. A hawk cupped the warm air with its wings. Man greeted Mother as she walked beside the river. He held a net in his hands to catch frogs for his breakfast. "You are so kind to me, Earth Mother," said Man. "You have given me frogs to fill my belly, and I am grateful." Man slapped at his face. "Oh, but why? Why have you given us this wretched mosquito to torment me, to sting me night and day and drive me from my bed?" he asked. "Mosquito is bad, bad, bad. Frog, on the other hand, is so good. It's so sweet and tasty, and oh, it would be so wonderful if there were only frogs and no more mosquitoes. Not at all. The world would be better." Man went back to the rushes and his business of catching frogs, and Earth Mother walked on. Earth Mother walked across the African savanna, weaving a robe fringed with falling rain. She filled the watering holes and sharpened the thorn bushes and guided a sunbird to a blossom sweet with nectar. She climbed a high peak and flung a spear of lightning through the sky. The mountains felt the sting and fury of her storm. In the north, Mother powdered the trees with snow. Tiny crystals gleamed like diamond dust. And in the late afternoon, Earth Mother heard Frog calling. Frog sat on a rock near the water. With a flick of his tongue, he caught a small insect and swallowed it whole. "Thank you, Earth Mother," said Frog. "Mosquito and her sisters are so tasty. They bring me life. But why have you sent Man to catch and eat me? Man is bad, bad, bad. Sweet, delicious mosquito, on the other hand, makes me happy. If there were more mosquitoes and no men, the world would be a perfect place." Earth Mother smiled and walked on. In the evening, Earth Mother dived deep with the whales, down into the depths of the ocean, blue-green light trailing from her fingertips. On a silver moon on the horizon, Earth Mother cradled the otter in a tangle of seaweed, rocking it to sleep on the waves. It was nighttime, and Earth Mother walked through the meadow. She heard a tiny voice. "Earth Mother!" It was a mosquito. "It is only a mosquito," said the owner's voice, or the voice. "Frog will surely feast on me tomorrow or the next. He has already caught most of my sisters. But I am grateful for Man, who lives by the river. He is tender and delicious, and when I bite him in his bed, what's needed are more men and no frogs. Then this world would be perfect." Earth Mother sighed once more, and on she walked. Earth Mother climbed a hill and to her cloud teepee, and she sparkled the world with fireflies. She spread a spiderweb lace over the grass. Earth Mother said good night to the beetles, to the hawks, to the people, to the sunbird, to the frogs, to the whales and the otters and the mosquitoes and the fireflies, to all her children everywhere. And then she went to sleep, and the world, in its own way, was perfect.
I'd
invite any of you young people to join in
Go now in peace, may the spirit of love surround you everywhere, everywhere you may go. That was fun, wasn't it? She did a great job. So, please rise as you are willing and able, and join in singing our opening hymn this morning, number 12, O Life that Maketh All Things New. Our responsive reading this morning is number 573, the Mother's Day Proclamation, and we will read this responsively. Arise then, women of this day.
Arise, all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of years.
Say firmly, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agents. I.e. men. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, mercy, and patience.
We women of one country will be too tender of those of another country to allow our sons to be trained in injuries.
From the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own. It says, disarm, disarm.
The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. Blood does not wipe out dishonor, nor violence indicate possession.
As men have often forsaken the plow and the anvil at the summons of war, let women now leave all that may be left of home for a great and earnest day of counsel.
Let them be first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead.
Let them then solemnly take counsel with each other as the means whereby the great human family can live in peace.
And each bearing after her own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God.
It's second Sunday, so we have some really special music today. Allison Tynes Adams is a classically trained soprano and I'm very honored that she's been singing my own compositions for 18 years. She earned her Bachelor of Music at Guilford College and a Master of Music in Voice Performance from the Peabody Conservatory. Allison spent many years performing and teaching in New York City and then Santa Cruz, California, before moving back home to Black Mountain. She now teaches voice privately at the Black Mountain Center for the Arts and here at the UUCSB, as well as music together classes, and is raising a son and a daughter with her husband, Drew Adams. And that whole family there. In honor of the Mother Goddess, we will perform O Lady Loba, my composition with a text by beat poet Diane DePrima from her anthology, The Loba. And you are all invited to hear a full concert of my compositions sung by Allison, Kim Hughes, and Sahara Peace Choir with dancer Leah Roebling and Maggie and MC Gracie, and you will see Leah dancing in the offertory. The concert's on June 8th, 2 p.m. at the Land of the Sky UCC, a benefit for the women and children of Afghanistan. So here is O Lady Loba.
impressive. Can we show some more love? Okay, this is the time in the service when we invite you to come and drop a stone in or light a candle of joy and concern. So come on. It's what you want. This is for those of you who, for whatever reason, decided not to come up. Just know that we keep you in our hearts and minds and in our thoughts and prayers. So, we will have a time now of meditation and prayer. So please center yourselves as you see fit, and of course we'll have a time of quiet afterwards. This is called centering. We stop, we pause, we pay attention, we center ourselves. We free ourselves from the compulsion of projects to finish. Work to be done, things to accomplish. We leave ourselves alone for a time. We journey deep down into that quiet center where no voice is heard. We live for a brief time on an island of peace. We apprehend the world from a quiet center. Here is the center of the world. In this instant, it centered the whirling orbs, the movement of earth and sky. In this fragile moment of time is the culmination of all that has been and the promise of all that shall be. The thrust of cosmic forces catapults us here in the trembling moment of the awareness that we share, looking back on the painfully slow transformation of primeval mud into human consciousness. Seeing in this instant how long is our history, gazing with uncertain eyes on what we may make of ourselves in our next act of creation. Here, in this moment, right now, here in our grasp is this moment. It is the center of the world. So, while our minds are one for this brief moment, I'll leave you with the eloquence of silence. And so it is. It's that time for the offering. I remind you of the words of William James. The greatest use of life is to spend it on something that will outlast it. And in that spirit, we collect this morning's offering. Thank you for your generosity. We need it. I had some bad jokes for you. I just don't know how to to get started, over the weekend, a friend of mine had come back from Paris, and he said he had a wonderful time. He couldn't get over the French like to eat snails, and so I had to remind him that they don't like fast food. But then I had another one. A friend of mine that I had grown up with, we never thought this would happen to him. He was arrested on burglary charges. And he was just so mild-mannered as a kid. He stuttered and when he talked, and myself and some other friends, we don't think he would be able to finish a sentence. Oh, God. How do I have the nerve to get over anyway? So, moving along. When I was growing up, I was raised in the Baptist tradition, the American Baptist tradition, not to be confused with the Southern Baptist tradition, which is, they're still, it was just wrong. But I didn't know what I was missing at the time, but in the Baptist theology, as some of you probably know, there is no room for motherhood or the mother or in the Godhead. And we were taught to turn to God, the Father, instead. The reason for this is because according to the Old Testament, Yahweh was a male deity. And according to the New Testament scriptures, Jesus called his father Abba. And so, in other words, Yahweh and Jesus' daddy were supposed to be the same entity. By the time we get to the New Testament, Judaism had gotten rid of any female entities that were part of primitive Judaism, because primitive Judaism was not monotheistic. And that happened around the 6th, 7th century with King Josiah and King Hezekiah. Curiously enough, though, my Catholic friends had Mary to pray to and interact with. And, other Aboriginal cultures had Mother Earth, to balance their view of the cosmos. So there was Mother Earth and Father Sky. It was a kind of a cosmic balance, if you will. And so in our ecologically sensitive age, the divine female, procreator and keeper of creation, offers a dimension of the holy that, at least to me, seems more natural and more obvious than it has been since the time of the patriarchal city-states, and back when our ancestors were trying to figure this whole thing out. There was a time when goddesses ruled over the rites of sowing and reaping and birth and death. And so there was a time, indeed, when God was a woman. It also stands to reason that if you want to protect a mother, then you have to protect her children. And one famous American liberal, Julia Ward Howe, reminded us of this a little over 100 years ago. In 1870, 5 years after the cessation of hostilities in a most uncivil civil war here in America, the Franco-Prussian War had broken out in Europe, another senseless conflict. It galvanized a small but growing group of international peace activists. And Julia Howe, founder of the first American Women's Ministers Group, she was a poet. As you know, she was author of the Battle Hymn of the Republic. She was also an abolitionist who strongly supported the Union cause and was now a prominent advocate for peace. Now, Sister Howe wrote a manifesto against the Franco-Prussian War, and she had it translated into 5 languages. It was French, German, Italian, Spanish, and Swedish. And then she set out for Europe with the goal of presenting this at the International Peace Conference in Paris and London. But because she was a woman, the European organizers denied her a spot on the program. Can you imagine going there on a ship because they didn't, and for them to tell you no? Man, I'd have gotten ghetto over there. But then again, I probably would be working in the fields like I should be. So, angry but determined, she rented her own hall, and then she invited the public to come and listen to her, but few people showed up. So she returned to the United States with a new idea, and she called that idea Mother's Day. Julia Howe created Mother's Day to draw attention to several basic liberal values. She did not want to put mothers on a pedestal, no. She wanted to get mothers out of the kitchen, out of the fields, out of their parlors, and into the public square, to unite as many women as possible in common cause, the protection of children from war. Or in her words, quoting, to promote the alliance of different nationalities, the amicable settlement of international questions, the great and general interests of peace. Notice that she did not call this annual occasion International Peace Day. She called it Mother's Day. And it brings to mind the British author E.M. Forster, who said that I'm sure that if the mothers of the world's nations could get together, there would be no more wars. On June 2nd, 1870, Howe issued the first Mother's Day proclamation. We read it as a responsive reading. She encouraged all women who have hearts, whether your baptism be that of water or of tears. That's beautiful. And she went on to say, and some of you chuckled, but I get it, we will not have great questions decided by irrelevant agencies. Our husbands shall not come to us reeking with the carnage so they can have caresses and applause. Our sons shall not be taken from us to unlearn all that we have been able to teach them of charity, of mercy, and of patience. We women of one country will be too tender to those of another country to allow our sons to be trained to injure theirs. And from the bosom of the devastated earth, a voice goes up with our own, and it says, disarm. Disarm. The sword of murder is not the balance of justice. And so, linking motherhood with Mother Earth and womanhood and peace, she asserted that the unconditional love they hold mothers for their children invests mothers with a natural, deep interest to avoid bloodshed. Fathers send their sons to war. Mothers remain at home to grieve. Who could better symbolize the need for peace than any soldier's mother? My friends who had fought in Vietnam, they would tell me certain stories. Some of them wouldn't talk about it at all. But, they would say, man, when you get shot in the gut, they're calling out for their mother. They're not saying, oh, daddy. They're calling out for their mothers at their time of death. Mother's Day would remind everyone that the planet would be a better place if all rose to the challenge of motherhood, of nurturing life, of fostering love, and of giving peace a chance. Let women now, she says, leave all that may be left at home for a great and earnest day of counsel. Let them meet first as women to bewail and commemorate the dead. Let them solemnly take counsel with each other as to the means whereby the great human family can live in peace, each bearing after her own time the sacred impress, not of Caesar, but of God's. These are strong words from Sister Howell. And so for several years, on June 2nd, in New York and Boston and Philly and England and Scotland and Switzerland, Mother's Day was celebrated in this spirit. In this spirit. Not Hallmark. As with many of our national holidays, it has fallen on hard times. What began as a celebration of loving our neighbors as ourselves has sunk to the depths of becoming a commercial holiday sponsored by florists and Hallmark greeting card institutes. And it's not that it's bad. You know, it's almost like King's holiday. It's just watered down to the I Have a Dream speech. You know, when he was so much more of a rebel. He was so much more, well, obviously he was dangerous, otherwise he'd still be here. But you know, if this gets watered down, rather than calling mothers to unite, rally, march, and proclaim to the world the values bestowed on their children, we celebrate with cliched cards and flowers. And there's nothing wrong with that on one level. Mrs. Howe had it right. What good mothers have in common is not that they have to stay at home with their children. Far more important is that they instill in those same children a respect for others, a generosity of spirit, cooperation, forgiveness, loving kindness, fundamental values. And as flawed as my mother was and is, and for any of us, she instilled those traits in me. And so each of us learns different things from his or her parents, but there are ways in which all nurturing parents are alike. Through the unconditional gift of their love, and we get it that everybody didn't have that. I got it. I try to put that in on Mother's Day, but you know, everybody didn't have, you know, the Kumbaya, Brady Bunch family. Got it. And that's unfortunate. And you have to work through those wounds. But what she's saying is that through the unconditional gift of their love and the security offered by sheltering arms, if we are fortunate enough, we have the comforts of home, we learn to trust each other. And by trusting each other, we wind up trusting life itself. More by example than instruction, our parents can teach us, being the wounded people that they are, how to balance freedom and responsibility, how to balance our individual wants and what our community needs. We'll talk more about that next Sunday when we look at Unitarian Universalism and how we can self-destruct by placing too much on the individual as opposed to the community, but stay tuned. Both are ideally modeled in the family with its one body and many members. And so you may not think of it like this, but in Unitarian Universalism, you know, in our congregations, in our churches, in our societies and fellowships, we are a conservative institution. And by that I mean, we establish boundaries, we maintain traditions, and we perform a stabilizing role in this community, in society at large. And each of these functions, when it's not dysfunctional, is noble. The breakdown of the family is always distressing, and it's linked to the breakdown of societal norms and values. On the other hand, within the family structure, the maternal role, and it can be, a man can do that. It can be performed by a mother, a father, a grandparent, an older sibling. But that maternal role is one of modeling and teaching values. values of hospitality, of neighborliness, of forgiveness, of tenderness, of love. These traits can be found in progressives, liberals, and conservatives. Doesn't matter where you are on the spectrum. Anyone can be a bad parent regardless of your politics or religion. Yet good mothers do foster these values. Maternal love is unconditional. It doesn't have strings attached. It's not, I'll give you my love because when you're on good behavior. It's freely given and no return is required. Nurturing mothers do not dole out love on a point system. The prodigal son or daughter may even receive more than the dutiful one. A child deserves unconditional love, not for what they do, but for who they are as part of the human family, as part of the universe. And many of us have been raised to think of the God of the universe as male. Aside from fundamentalist theologians, most theologians today would not limit a deity or God to a gender. We can agree on that. But if such a limit were imposed, at least for me personally, if a new administration came in and said, no, we're not going to have all this you mess. You're going to have to choose something. For me personally, God the Mother, or the Mother Goddess is a much more descriptive term of God's nature than does God the Father. For me. I personally do not think of the power of creation or the source of all that is as anthropomorphic anyway. But if I did, I'm just saying. In the height of religious goodness, if the height of religious goodness lies in the deeds of love and compassion instead of war, we might wisely turn to the goddess, God the Mother, as creator, as healer, and comforter. When God was a woman, our ancestors did. These traits, instead of damning and judgment, they save. And let me remind you, as a universalist, we say that all are saved. The Latin root of the word religion is religere, meaning to bind together. Many who say they are religious somehow have a narrow theology. They're in a straitjacket, requiring unquestionable acceptance to their tribe's ancient story. And this requires linear left brain, classical male way of thinking. This requires one to separate the saved from the unsaved, the damned and the not damned. It doesn't bring us together. But technically speaking, being religious is supposed to bind us together as kith and kin, but not if one group has all the answers and are always right. This is very different from the mindset of one that embraces creation and learns from nature and human nature with lessons filled of sowing and reaping and bringing things to fruition of the wonders of birth and nurturing. The Mother Goddess saves. When we express compassion, to literally stand beside another in their time of aloneness, when we open our hearts to share in the misery that a neighbor or loved one is going through, we are bringing them comfort because of our strength. And these traits are usually seen as feminine, not masculine. Yes, men can be compassionate as well, but when asked what traits are defined as male or female, compassion is not high on the ledger. But that is that's changing. We are evolving, like the goddess. But when God was a goddess, the greatest power was not deemed to be a king or a lord with a mighty army to conquer your enemies. It was about the renewal of the earth in cycles of sowing and reaping. And with Mother Earth, with her supernatural divas and her other attendants, they gave us life. They gave us life, even as a mother gives life through birth. and nurturing and love. So it was about tending the earth and keeping her healthy, not being lord over it. So thinking ecologically in this technological age, the feminine dimension of the divine to me just makes more sense. The cycles of nature, the miracle of birth induce a sense of awe, which is crucial to universalism. Beauty is all around us, but if we are not paying attention, we will miss it. Unitarian Albert Schweitzer refers to this as the reverence for life, because we're all part of this vast ecosystem. That we're screwing up, of course, but I'm just trying to remind you. And so mystics of every faith proclaim this sense of oneness. So in 1913, when Congress moved the date from June to the second Sunday in May, they changed the significance of Mother's Day. What began as a festival in which mothers might witness in public their maternal values was reduced to a private holiday on which we send cards and roses. On this Mother's Day, I will commit or recommit to you, and hopefully you will as well, to loving and caring for one another, to let our differences strengthen rather than diminish us. And let us give up fear of each other and change it into belief in ourselves and our ability to add healing to a very injured world. Happy Mother's Day to all of you. Please rise as you are willing and able for our closing hymn, number 207, Earth Was Given as a Garden. So we want to show some love to Maestro and Leah and Allison. May the love which overcomes all differences and which heals all wounds, which puts to flight all of our fears, and which reconciles all who are separated, be in us and among us, now and always. And I hope you have a wonderful Mother's Day. Thanks for spending time this morning.